Good evening, everybody. This is episode 32. We're going to do our breakdown of Richmond. This one's going to be coming to you late. We're going to do them all and at the same time upload, but we'll give you all of our opinions. So we're going to stick to just Richmond for this one. So we had our one and only Richmond race. Then they took a date away. They brought a softer tire compound. Um, Austin Dillon repeated his win, this time without putting two people in the wall. So that was a pleasant change in my mind, even though most people would be happy with the two people he put in the wall last year, going right back in it again. I thought the race was really good. So let's get into it. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Chris. Um, I'm glad they finally got a little softer tire that seems to make quite a bit of difference. I think that ultimately helped quite a bit in what we had with the product we saw on the racetrack. Unfortunately, listening to some of which I haven't done yet this week, but listening to some of the podcasts, I'm a little frustrated on the take that some of these guys are taking as far as just some of the podcasts saying, or just some of the personalities in the sport saying that Goodyear needs to step it up a little bit and really come up with a tire that is that's going to make the difference. Because I don't think, I mean, we've heard, at least I've heard numerous times, Goodyear talk about the fact that they can only go so soft with the chemicals they're allowed to now use because of the EPA. So why are we going to put so much of this on the backs of Goodyear instead of legitimately going through and figuring out a way to make some changes to the fucking car as well? Because the tires definitely made a difference, but if Goodyear's hands are tied to a certain extent and they can't necessarily go softer in the foreseeable future, uh, I think it's time that NASCAR finally steps up and takes a little different approach, or NASCAR and the teams both. I mean, you got to stop putting this all on Goodyear.
Yeah, I agree with the podcasts I listened to last week. That was pretty much the sentiment a lot of them said is that, oh, well, we can go softer. Goodyear's working on some stuff. I know Tommy Baldwin said that, some other things. And while they may be working on some stuff, so I don't know if either you had a chance to listen to it, but on the Harvick Happy Hour, the interview he did with Jimmy Johnson, which was just fantastic in general. If nobody's listened to it out there, just in general, like go give it a listen. He addresses a lot of stuff, but one of the things he and Harvick talked about, they compared notes between the two of them. You're talking about a champion with 60 wins and a seven-time champion with 83 wins that drove in an era where you could feel the car. And they said a prime reason you could feel the car and prime reason why Kyle Busch is struggling and things like that is because of this very tiny sidewall. Johnson said that that's something of the things he'd like to see changed as an owner, and he knows it's going to cost money and things like that. And it's a slow moving ship to turn it, but he'd like to see the sidewall size increased. And I think that goes to your point, Chris, that if you're going to put all the emphasis on Goodyear to fix the tire for you, make it softer and softer, you got to give them some work, some area to work within. They can't work on a tire that has like next to, 1 inch or 2 inch sidewall, 3 inch at best. And then you're forcing them to put like next to no rubber on top of that too. Like there's only so many places, only so much rubber they can soften up before you're like into the sidewall. Where when
Yeah,
you have a bigger sidewall tire, it can expand more, it can take more heat, it can take more load, and it can wear more. You could build more layers of rubber to it. Regardless of the compounds, you could build more layers to give it more degradation that you can't do with a ultra thin tire. And every car you buy today has sport tires on it that are like the ones that are on a NASCAR car in terms of those smaller sidewalls. And I agree, you can't feel shit when you're driving those cars compared to a big car. There's not as much of the body roll, so when your car is getting a little squirrely, you don't feel it as much. It's basically like it's stiff. You're on hockey pucks. So I can see that point completely. They did bring that soft tire back or the option tire from last year, and it played out pretty much the same way, except for that was the only tire they had. And so then it came down to who managed the strategy best. One of the things I also heard was everybody argue, especially Brad after the first practice, like we need more tires. I think you giving them more tires actually would bail them out of and get them out of the tire management issue. And you want them to have to manage tires, which is what created the passing we saw this weekend or that weekend.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
what do you think, Blake?
But
Yeah.
well, I kind of wanted to expand a little bit on what you even said something that you can toss back to a comment that you made in one of our previous shows. In fact, it might have been the last one. Is the fact that if we get the easiest way to get that bigger sidewall back, go back to 5 lugs and make a smaller fucking wheel. Cut
Yeah.
down the brake package, cut down the rotors, and I mean that right there. I'm sorry, cannot be. That's got to be one of the cheapest options that they could possibly do to these race cars to get some performance back in these cars.
Yeah, and it would
Well, you don't
require
even
no
have
aerodynamic
to.
changes whatsoever. Go ahead,
You
Brett.
don't even have to. You don't even have to change to back to 5 lugs to make the rim smaller. To you, Alan. You
No,
can.
because the hub is the hub. It wouldn't change. The
Yeah.
difference would be the scale of
So
the brakes and the
so
size of the wheel.
if
So I
you
mean,
if you change the wheel, yeah, you're going to change your brakes a little bit, but I think you won't have to change. You won't have to put more money into because lug nuts, believe it or not, cost a lot of money, and
yeah,
they can use the same damn 4 lugs every damn week.
yeah, because the
So
center point of the wheel wouldn't have to change. You would just be changing the
yeah,
diameter. So instead
correct.
of, I think
So
they're on a 20-inch wheel right now, you'd go back down,
yes,
let's say an 18. I think if
we
you
were
just
on
used it,
15s before.
well, we were running 15s before. I think if you wanted to look still modern, which is part of their goal to
Yeah,
look appealing
yeah,
to,
you can go
the
to
younger,
18s and give
I
us
think an
a bigger
18 would still
sidewall.
look good, but you'd get back 2 more inches of sidewall, which would put some more feel back in it. I think that would help your veteran seasoned drivers like your Kyle Bushes, your Brad Keselowski's, that I have struggled, even Jimmy Johnson and this part-time stuff, they struggle to find the feel of the car. But not just them, I think it would you'd stop wrecking cars as well. And not that we want to stop natural wrecks. Natural cautions are good, but in terms of somebody just steps over the edge and they can't even feel it and they head on into the wall, if you put more sidewall on the car, you're giving them more of an opportunity to catch it because they can
Yeah.
feel it more
Well,
before it's just gone.
Richmond proved that you don't need cautions to have a good race.
No.
First off,
Yeah.
we did have a little wreck fest there, in what was it, stage 2 or in beginning of stage 3? I can't remember. But my opinion of the race was I loved it. It was top 3 of the year for sure. But if you recall when they did re-rack them and they were all on equal stuff, they couldn't pass when they're on equal stuff. The only time passing was happening was the pit strategies. Do you come in first? Do you come in 5 laps after, 10 laps after? And that's when the passing happened. So where the tire did help when it comes to when you did pit compared to everybody else, when you're on equal stuff, it's not, there's still a problem when it comes to the car.
Yeah, yeah. By no
So,
means did this solve every problem.
right.
One thing I would love to see is I would love to see them run that race over again, same time and everything, same tires, same car. Take the stage cautions out of it. I bet
Oh,
you get
man.
more passion because I think it would open up the strategy even more because now you don't know when you're not able to pre-plan your tire allotment to okay, I'm going to do 1 pit here, 2 pits here, 3 pits here.
Yeah.
You don't know when the brakes are going to come. You're going to have to manage your tires like when Dylan in the third stage, when in that final pit stop, green flag pit stop, they're like, okay, go easy the first lap or two, don't hurt the tires, and then you can go.
Yeah, I
And
think they
once he
said go
did
easy
that,
for 3 or 4 laps and then go. Yeah.
yeah, and that
And
was kind of the same mentality that Denny Hamlin had at Bristol a couple years ago with those tires. Go easy on them a little bit, let them come up to temperature, don't hurt them too much, and then kind of help stiffen them up a little bit, and then you can go.
I
So I
gotta
think if you
admit,
took the
when
natural cautions, if you took the stage cautions out and you just let it play out, I think you'd still get probably the same amount of cautions because I think more people would step over the edge and try and make it last as long as possible until the tires started to come apart.
You'd
the
get
I,
the natural cautions as opposed to uh, you'd get the natural cautions as opposed to the planned cautions.
Yeah. Go ahead, Blake.
I
Sorry, Blake.
see. I feel like that when when it came down to Austin Dillon winning this race, when the third stage started and he got a decent lead on Ryan, but Ryan kind of reeled him in a little bit. I I felt like the best thing that he could do was wait till Ryan pitted, wait 3 laps, and then pit, because then he's just, you know, I felt like that was the winning strategy. And when he pitted first, I actually yelled out loud, "You just lost this race because you
Yeah.
pitted first." And that just shows how good his car was. He pitted first, and then yes, Ryan ran him down a little bit, but then once the long run hit, he pulled back away. I mean, that really shows you that RCR, well, the 3 team anyway, has hit something on Richmond and Richmond only.
Yeah.
So
Which
it's
they've
good to
been
see.
notorious for being good there, just to be clear.
Yeah,
And that was said throughout by multiple people in the industry. But I mean, I remember going to the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 for years, and there would be Harvick in the 29 in one of those rock and roll based cars, and he'd be going around the track whipping their ass in the Nationwide Series. Then he'd come back the next weekend, that next day, and whip their butt, wear them out in the
yeah.
Cup side. And so they've done a very good job there of
I
getting a good
wish
setup in.
that Carson Hocevar's team would have executed better. Carson himself, the team, because seeing a 3 stop strategy in that last run compared to 2, if it would have been done correctly, would have been fun to see
Yep.
whether it would have worked or not. I know that Chris felt like if Brad would have done it, Brad could have done this, could have probably won the race as well because he was the fastest car the last 30 laps, I think he said. But
Not just the last 30 laps of the race. I mean, every time they got to the end, every time they got to the end of a run, I've been trying to go back through, and I don't know where the best place to look, but to look at what his lap times were compared to everybody else. But I mean, even leading up to that pit stop with 47 to go, Brad pitted with 47 to go, and uh, Austin pitted with 30 to go. So there was a 17 lap difference from when Brad pitted to when Austin pitted.
Yeah.
And when Brad pitted, or when Austin pitted with 47 to go, Brad pitted with 30 to go, which you already put yourself at a disadvantage because you were the fastest on a long run and you ran longer than anybody else. So you actually put yourself out there with the fresher tires, which wasn't the best for his car, but he still pitted with 30 laps to go, and Austin pitted with 47 to go, came back from 34th place. I think he was 36 seconds behind and drove all the way back to only be 15.25 seconds behind at the end of that race, up to ninth place.
Yeah, I thought, based on Iowa's performance, first off, I'd already had the 6 circled for like they should be a very strong contender. And they didn't disappoint other than, just some different strategy. I mean, the 3 was on rails, no question. What they've got figured out. I really wish Kyle Busch had him involved in that, big wreck because I think he had a car not as his line that he likes to run compared to Austin's isn't there. So Austin still has the better overall lap time, but I felt like Kyle Busch, I mean, he was in the top 10 when he got in that wreck and coming forward. So I really feel like I got as a KB fan rooting for him to win again in that 8 car. I feel like I got robbed of seeing, what was probably going to be one of their best opportunities to
Yeah,
do it.
he was fast.
He was quick in practice, really quick. Did qualify as well as I had hoped, but I mean they were up there.
What wasn't he fastest in practice?
I think he was. But I
well,
don't know if he was fastest on. I don't know. I had to go back and look at the number of laps, but I think it was like 40 laps. So I think this is one of those where if they had given the drivers more practice, you probably could have done. We probably could have even gotten a better race based off what we have. So
uh,
yeah, I like the strategies. I'm glad we brought back the soft tire. Uh, the right car won. We didn't have some manipulation. I was actually
uh,
expecting NASCAR to throw something to screw it up again. And
there was
put him right
two
back in the
there was
same.
2 cars that were better than the 3,
Yeah,
2 of them. Well, one of them kind of leveled out, but he had a shot. Bubba Wallace had an amazing car.
Yeah, Bubba.
And then they had the tire come off.
Yep.
Um, the 45 was an amazing car. They both won the first two stages. And
Both got taken out
our
for one reason or another.
Our buddy of the Amigo, ran out of talent and forgot that the 54 was low on tire and caused that wreck. And I feel like it was a 23-11 night until that happened.
Yeah, I thought, and we'll get into this when we get to our later discussion of who's going to be a threat for the championship, but I really expected Reddick to do better, and this is one of those where he had the car, but like the rest of this year, he's got the speed, he's got the car, he's got shit
Well,
for luck. He's right there with Brad Keselowski
this is the
in
best
terms of.
short track race I've ever seen him run.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, like, and when he's good, it's like just basically kind of like Larson since the summer. Something's always gets him. And if he hadn't had good early, results,
Yeah.
I don't know that he makes it into he barely made it into the playoffs. So
Yep.
based on the number of winners and everything, and that's not an indicative of skill. That's just the bad luck. The wheels have come off for them, and we're heading into we'll get into it later, but we're heading into where everything's got to go your way. They got to get it. There's a bunch of guys that are in that position. They need to get their shit straight, or they're going to be
Yeah.
in big trouble. So, um, anything else about the Cup race you want to talk about for Richmond?
I always like to just talk about Larson for just a minute. I think it's an
Yeah,
amazing rebound. Amazing
yeah,
rebound. They started 27th due to really crappy qualifying. It might have been 30th, but they fell back to 32nd. They're running 32nd when the pit stop started in the first stage, and he came early. And of course, hindsight, you don't know what's going to go on the race, but they came
yeah,
earlier than the leaders and stuff like that. And I was yelling at the TV. I was like, "Way too early, Cliff. What are you doing?"
yeah,
And um, when the run ended, he was 15th or something, and I was like, 32nd to 15th just because of a green flag pit stop, and just in and out, and just the strategy was insanely awesome. And then the second stage moved forward some more, and he would always pit. They always pitted him 3 to 4 laps after the leader after that first pit stop, and got him a top six out of it. So I thought it was an insane recovery. I would have loved to see what he could have possibly done if he started up front compared to where he did start. But he screwed up in qualifying and he had to dig out of that hole. And I just thought that was a crazy good rebound from what they had been doing of late.
yeah. No, I don't disagree. They recovered well. Trying to think what else. I can't really think of too much else for the Richmond weekend to really talk about. They did release the full schedules then.
Yes.
Um, so we can either talk a little bit about them now or we can save them for our bigger
Well, I
discussion
think
that'll be.
this is the week it happens. I feel like that would be the
All right.
best.
So we've got lots of different news across the three schedules. You want to start from the trucks and work our way up then?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the trucks, the biggest thing obviously is that they're going street racing side by side with IndyCar at St. Pete next year. Now, while I think that's a great thing for them companion wise, because it's going to hopefully put a lot of eyeballs on them for them in the series, I think they have zero reason to be on a street race. They can't even finish races normally without running all over each other, and you want to put them on a street race? Like, what the hell are they doing? This
I
is one
I
of those I assume Ben Kennedy things that like I just feel like I think it's great from a partnership perspective. I think the people that should be partnering with them though, if we're going to go street racing, should be Cup, not trucks.
Well, I think it's just a setup for 27. I think in 27, Cup will be running St. Pete with IndyCar.
Okay.
and Cup will be on Saturday because St. Pete is Roger Penske's baby. Roger Penske owns the rights to it now, so IndyCar will be the primary deal that weekend, and Cup will be Saturday.
Too bad they can't make Prime that.
Yeah.
Said you wanted me to put it
Or
in there, so there you
I'm
go,
trying to
bud.
pull up
Make Prime
all three of
primary.
them. I have them
Yep, make
saved
Prime
on
primary.
my phone. I was trying to find all three release schedules, but I guess I'll have to pull them out of my phone because there's more than that. But so the other big thing for the trucks, obviously, is and Tommy's talked about it, Freddie's talked about it. You know, I've said it as a fan. I believe we've all agreed. You know, if we're trying to build a ladder system, why are you trying to make the trucks do everything the cup guys are doing in at the entry? They need to be building up. So if you want to put them on plates, that's fine. They should be on one plate race a year. That's it. They should be on max two road races. I don't really think they belong on there personally, but if they're going to be on there, they should be on two. It should not be a street race. It should be somewhere where we already have an existing good road course where we know how to build a package for them because the trucks still have the traditional splitter. Um, and again,
Honestly,
you're
the
a street
trucks,
race, and so you're going street racing, and street racing in that regard, there's potholes, man covered, like all that kind of stuff. So again, they go through this every year with the Indy cars, but the Indy cars they can lift them up off the ground. The trucks have, they have a lot more bounce and everything with the bottom. So again, I'm not sure it's the best idea, but so I'm looking at their schedule here.
the trucks shouldn't be anywhere but Watkins Glen or Sonoma.
Like the trucks on the Roval, why? Why are they not running the oval? They have only four short tracks, and this is a series that was born on the short tracks of the country.
5 road courses and 4 short tracks.
5 road courses, four short tracks. And so we're going to go to, I'm glad we're going back to Rockingham. Yay, that's good. But we're only going to Bristol once, where they race great. We're going to Martinsville once. They race great unless there's a late stage caution. Then they just go full, you know, dumbass.
Retard.
Just run each other over. Um, where else? IRP or Lucas Oil, good, great racing there as usual. And Richmond, that's or in New Hampshire. So like those are all your small tracks. If you want to consider Phoenix one, I guess, but I mean, it's just you look at their schedule and it's kind of like questioning what are we doing with this series? I feel like it's kind of lost its identity in some ways and it doesn't know what it is. The other thing is, and we're talking about Richmond's weekend and when these came out, but we're also, we can't ignore the news that's come out recently. So Ram is going to have 5 trucks with Kaulig. That's a hell of an entry to start with. But they're also talking about by 2027 that the trucks are going to be spec trucks, just like the Cup cars. They're going to be kit cars completely.
No
Kit
later
truck.
than 28.
Yep. So if you turn them into that, I get that there's going to be a lot of long-term savings. Like there is actual savings in a kit car. Jimmy Johnson talked about it, but you're going to take what the trucks are today with the side forks they have on the things that make the trucks so good at the tracks where they do race well, and you're going to put them in the same exact boat as the Cup car. I don't see that being a good thing overall. We're going to go to probably a taller tire. So you're going to have the same problem again. You're taking what sometimes is one of your better races series and tarnishing it. And the other piece of news that came out is that they're going to expand the number of entries a Cup driver can have for Xfinity and Cup, which I have to assume that's being done for sponsorship purposes to be able to bring more money into the teams at the lower levels. They're struggling to get sponsorship for them, is my guess. Not so
Well,
they're
they
obviously
should have
not
made
opening it back up to a full season, but they're going to go from 5 to, I'm hoping 10. Give them 10 at
the thing
most.
is until they give more TV money or whatever, figure out. See, that's why they need to go to. They need to take the trucks to other tracks. Go to Colorado. Go to Pikes Peak. Go to take them around the country to the
Yeah.
way the truck started,
You go to
and bring the
O'Reilly,
money,
go to
bring the
Five Flags.
money back into it, so that the teams make money. When you look at the damn purses,
Yeah.
and some people don't understand this, so I'm going to say it. A purse is for the entire field, not just the fucking winner. and the purse for the trucks is $800,000. If you look
Yep.
at the purse for the Cup, is around $10 million. There's a
Yep.
huge difference there. So you have to get all your money in sponsorship. No wonder they're
Well,
having
and
trouble.
so like to your point, so Friesen was injured that weekend. Leading into it, we've had 2 races since Friesen's injury, and he's since waived it. The reason why, no, there's no reason you would waive a playoff entry guaranteed 16th spot unless the money wasn't even worth it for you to take a spot. And they already said it's not, that the truck series points and payout money is essentially 50-50. So it's not even worth taking a spot. So why, that also shows you that there's a problem for the long-term series health there that needs to be addressed. But one of the things that I don't think that the truck series owners should be, complaining about, I would be if I was a truck series owner. All these big name tracks, yeah, they got the latest in safety and everything. They also have higher sanctioning fees. If I go to Stafford Speedway and we run, let's say 28 to 36 trucks, the sanctioning fees on all those team owners, especially the lower tiered team owners, are going to be significantly less than going to, say, Daytona or
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte or one of those big NASCAR ISC tracks or SMI tracks. If you go to an older track or a more local track, one, they're going to put on a good show. Two, they're most certainly going to sell out because you're bringing racing to a smaller community where they don't already get it up at that level. And then three, it's going to be a lower cost barrier of entry for those teams to go out there and put on a good show. So I mean, they're just, like I said earlier, I think they're lost. I don't think they know what the hell they want to do with the truck series.
Well,
And
I don't remember where I heard it, but they said that Parker Klingerman makes more talking about racing than he did
yep,
racing.
that was on
That's a
that was
problem.
Denny, but he was talking about for Xfinity, but it still serves the point that Parker Kligerman, who's now won 2 races this year, won't get credit for either one of them. Has it gets makes more talking about cars and holding a microphone than he does holding onto his steering wheel. That's a problem.
Crazy, crazy. One of the most dangerous sports on the planet, and he
Yep.
he makes more money talking about it. Stupid.
Yep. So, all right. So let's move on to anything else you want to talk about with the truck schedule before I go to
I don't
the
believe
Xfinity schedule?
so. No.
So the Xfinity schedule, now the O'Reilly Auto Parts, as that was also announced at the same time. We don't know what the series is actually going to be called right now. It's the NASCO O'Reilly Auto Parts series, but that's just too wordy. They're going to have to come up with something. I feel like I heard, I think it was they said it on Dale Jr.'s podcast last week when it was announced, but I think I agree with him. Just go back to calling it the Busch Grand National Series or the Grand National Series. Just like
Grand National.
there's the trucks, there's the Grand
NASCAR
National, there's the
O'Reilly
Cup.
Grand National Series.
Yep. Say the O'Reilly Grand National Series, just like there's the Cup Series with some tiered sponsors, trucks, Craftsman Truck Series, because otherwise they've done all this work to build up its identity, and now you've got a series that's just too many damn words. I love the O'Reilly. I mean, it's a perfect partner again for the middle tier, but it's just too many words. Like, what do we get? It doesn't just roll off the tongue like Busch Series, Grand National Series, or uh, like it has been the last, however many years, Xfinity. So now for their cars, their schedule, they're also going back to Rockingham, which is good. I'm curious how that impacts the sale, because remember they put it up for sale, so I'm wondering what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that I was
But
blown away to see that on the schedule. Blown away with
yep,
it
I
being
was not expecting to see Rockingham. Honestly, when they saw I put it up for sale, I was like, oh well, I guess we're going to lose this track after one thing, and that's awful. They're also going to race in San Diego as well as the trucks. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
I do think that's great, again, because of the venue and the audience you're serving there. Normally, I would say no, but this is the one time I say yes. But then, so you're giving in this case, the trucks are getting 2 street races,
Yep.
which is crazy. So, that,
Which I wouldn't really call Coronado a street race either, because
no, it's going to be
isn't
more
it
like a
basically
Need
on
for
an
Speed
airport
style
strip?
race. it's going to be more like a Forza Motorsport
Yeah.
and Need for Speed or a
We
Gran
don't really know
Turismo.
what to call it yet, to be honest,
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
haven't seen a
I'm gonna
layout.
call it the base race. Race the
Yeah.
base.
Stupid.
Well, I mean, it depends. If one of them goes flipping
We
off,
don't know yet, Chris.
so we all saw the car, right? Last week, the shit show Hall of Fame, the guy jumped the banking, right? At the dirt
Yep.
track, like flew off.
Yep.
I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility for them to jump one of these damn cars or trucks off into the fucking into the
Out in the
water.
ocean.
We're gonna run right by the pier, so that wouldn't surprise me. Um, Otherwise, they don't really have any big changes on there.
Chicagoland. Are they racing at Chicagoland with Cup?
Yep, they're going to be running Chicagoland. I'm glad that's happening. Um, yeah, and otherwise their schedule's pretty much like obviously everybody's getting the same Homestead return to finale. That's the other big part. So yeah, their big thing is besides their big thing really is the naming. The
Yeah.
naming that Rockingham stayed. Because everything else is they're benefiting from the San Diego with the other series and everything. So let's see. Their playoffs are shorter, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Bristol, Vegas, Charlotte, Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville. So Charlotte Roval, so they have one road race, one's plate race, one, two. Really, honestly, their playoffs is pretty well balanced, truthfully. They've got short track, Bristol, mile and a half, Vegas, road course, Roval, another short track ish, Phoenix, but they usually put on a good race at Phoenix. Those cars do. Super Speedway at Talladega, another short track at Martinsville, and then we finish at a mile and a half where they're going to put on a hell of a show and always have at Homestead. So I think theirs is going to be a playoff, actually, that's going to be very exciting to watch.
So the trucks are actually going to be, or they're going to go back to running Vegas when.
Well, trucks are going Bristol, Kansas. Hold on, let me go back and look at that.
They usually only run. It's
Hold on.
usually
So this is very interesting. I don't think I caught this when I was looking at the schedule. The trucks are going to run Kansas. Xfinity is going to run Vegas. They're going to two totally different locations for their mile and a halves in the fall.
yeah
They
they
both
have
go to
been for quite a
Bristol.
while.
Then one goes over here, one goes over here.
Yeah, they've always done that. That's why I was asking. Xfinity and Cup have always come out here to Vegas, and
Yeah.
the trucks are only here in the spring, not the fall.
Yeah. I just don't understand. If you're making the point to have the same start weekend for all the playoffs, I would think you want all the same
Why not run them at the same
venues.
track?
You would line up the venues so that you could provide the best ticket package all the way through that playoff window. Regardless of how they line up to Cup, you would want to pair them as close as possible. Um, so
You would think.
yeah. And Kansas that time of year, versus Vegas. Kansas is a little colder in September than Vegas is.
Yeah. It's still in the 80s.
It's still good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's still warm, but it ain't Vegas warm.
It snowed in Vegas last year.
All right, so that brings us to Cup. See here. So Flash returns to Bowman Gray. That's good. That track put on a good show last year. If they bring that softer tire from Richmond to Bowman Gray, I think we can get an even better race.
I didn't enjoy Bud McGray, but that's in the past.
Yeah. Daytona 500. I I'm cautiously optimistic it could be a better race based off of what we're going to talk about next race, but for the next piece, but based on some of the handling things like that. But we've got two super speedways back to back with Daytona followed by Atlanta again. Then we'd go right to Dakota, Phoenix, Vegas, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol, Kansas, Dega, Texas, Watkins Glen, Early, which so they were talking about this. This is the one. So this is up here by me. This is the thing that I don't think they have really thought about. So and Tommy Baldwin brought it up. And I think this is one of them, Ben Kennedy, you're an idiot. You don't know what the hell you're doing. So you move Watkins Glen to May. I got news for you. It still fucking snows up here in May. Not a little bit. Like it could drop 2 feet in May up here in upstate New York, where Watkins Glen is. Like that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Maybe they're getting the snow tires ready. You don't know, Alan.
So, yeah, you know what? You're right. Maybe we'll see Kurt Busch's Snow Angel make a return with somebody else. It was Austin Dillon's Grass Angel, but the Snow Angel. So then you follow that up with the other thing you do to the northern, northeast is you take their 1 points race away, and the following week is Dover at the All-Star race, which Dover, don't get me wrong, Dover, one of my favorite tracks in the sim. On the old school tire, on the older tire, where it wore and is bigger because you put so much load on the car and the heat. Dover with this car does not put on all that good a race. I don't know how you're going to make it a good race in the All-Star format. If you can't make me a super soft tire, you're not going to give me
Tommy
a whole bunch of
Baldwin
horsepower.
believes that they are going to be making a 20 lap tire, that they're going to be making a super duper goopy tire to that way the All-Star race is worth watching.
They're going to have to do something because it's going to be at daytime. That track has no lights.
Putting the All-Star race during the day is going to ruin the All-Star race.
Yeah, I if they do
It
this
has
for more
not
than
been
1 year,
during the day since 1991.
yeah, I will say this. So Tommy Baldwin said Northeastern fans hold a grudge. He ain't lying. These people up here are fucking cranky all the time because they don't get any sunlight. They don't get vitamin
That
D.
explains a lot.
These people are fucking cranky. So if you think taking their 2 good races and shoving them into periods where it still snows and taking away their points race was a good idea, you're a fucking idiot, Ben Kennedy. That's all there is to it. And he doesn't give a shit what
Is
we
it a
have to say
Ben
as
Kennedy
fans.
thing or is it a SMI thing though?
Well, it it is an
It's I
SMI.
think I think it's that idiot son of Bruton, honestly.
Marcus.
I
Marcus.
mean, yeah. I mean, he's so gung ho on getting Wilkesboro a points race, which I'm glad that Wilkesboro has a points race. I enjoyed Wilkesboro this year, but you could have put the damn All Star race somewhere else.
You could have put it back at Texas. You could
You could
have
have took it to Kentucky,
could
your
have
track
taken
that
it to
you don't
Kentucky.
have a damn race at that you own,
Yep.
and
You could
kept
have
Dover a race. You don't.
you could have
You
left
could have
over
took.
a race.
You could have stopped using. You could have stopped promoting for Coda
Yep. You could
and
have taken the
taking
Charlotte
that
Roval
race.
out in the fall and put Dover into the playoffs.
They're not going to take a race from Charlotte. There's not. I remember.
No, or you could have taken and gotten rid of the Roval, added a track race there, taken one of your other mile and a halfs off the schedule that doesn't race as well, and still had the All-Star race on a track that produces good racing with this car.
But it's just I don't understand why we're promoting for one track and then have another track sitting. So I wasn't mad this year that Kentucky went on the schedule. There wasn't any rumors about being on the schedule. Well, I'm hopeful that with Chicago coming back, that will bring Kentucky back next year. But we'll see.
Well, we talked about it earlier leading into the Chicagoland discussion. So, yep, so Chicagoland's been added back into the discussion. It's on 4th of July weekend. It's super hot, so it should be good, but they're going to have to put $4 million of renovations into it, as said by NASCAR and SMI. So you're putting $4 million into this track because you let it set unused so you could go do some street racing experiments that
But
haven't yielded anything good for this
putting
sport.
that money into it would mean they have to keep going there. So that's good.
No, I'm not disagreeing, but that's money you would have been putting into it anyway to maintain it, is my point. Now you got
Yeah.
to go reseal the track. You got to go fill in the fissures where the track is separated. Because if you've seen pictures from Hocevar or any of the video, you can see the grass and the weeds. It looks very much like
Wilkesboro.
North Wilkesboro did. All the stuff growing up out of it. Well, you got to reseal all that. You got to go clean and facelift the stands. You got to clean up the garages and there's still stuff sitting in the garages from the last time they were there, years and years and years
Sure.
ago. The buildings all have to be repainted. You got to update the suites. There's probably moldy carpet. All that stuff would have been fine had you stayed there. You have this and again, it's a investment in a track, this is where I get pissed as a fan. I'm not a resident of Illinois, but if I was, you took my money as a taxpayer, you took millions and millions of it as a subsidy to build this track, then to abandon it, just like Kentucky. And now you're going to have to take more money and put it in there. I guarantee you they're going to take some of that money and it's not all going to come out of their pocket. They're going to ask the state for some of it. That's how we got North Wilkesboro back. We've talked about it before. So Marcus didn't do that out of the goodness of his heart. He brought North Wilkesboro back because of the COVID money that was injected into all the states to, to put
it worked financially at the time.
Right. If it had been just his own money, we wouldn't be racing in North Wilkesboro at all. It would be torn down by now. So, and we've already said they're not building any more racetracks. So what you got's what you got. You got to preserve it. Where I was going with this is the money they're having to put into there. I have the same concerns about Kentucky. You went through you've said it, probably 15 times. We went through the effort to repave Kentucky only for you to park it, turn into a fucking Ford truck parking lot.
No, you were headed in the right direction with 100 times.
Yeah, what was the point of putting all that money in there that now you're going to have to pave it again? Not all the way, but you're going to have to go back in there. If we do ever go back to Kentucky, you're going to have to go back through the same thing and seal all the fucking cracks and get all the shit out of it and redo all the turf and
hell yeah, another Iowa.
Exactly. Yeah. So racing in the corn, baby. But so yeah, that's
another thing. I'm shocked we got Iowa. I didn't think we'd go back to Iowa. We're going back to Iowa.
Yeah, I'm glad we're going back to Iowa.
Well, I think in 27 the Iowa race will be in Canada.
Hey?
Hey?
So I will say, looking at this stretch, unlike this year where, it was very road course heavy, back to back to back to back, this coming year, it's not set up that way at all. This year, we're going to go, we're going to go from Watkins Glen in May. The next time we hit a road course is in June. The next time we hit one after that isn't until we get into the playoffs.
Here, I got to say
Instead,
this.
we're going to get a lot of short tracks. We're going to have Richmond, Iowa, and North Wilkesboro and New Hampshire all together in one shot, like within almost back to back to back to back. So we're swapping out that rotation of sorry, Sonoma is in June. Those two go back to back. But after that,
why could we not put Sonoma in May and Watkins Glen in June?
That to me is a perfect swap for the two. Because you get Sonoma when it's
we all want Sonoma green.
Yeah.
It's been all over X, it's been all over the internet, and we continue to ignore what everybody wants. That place would just look, just the aesthetics of it would be amazing. But no, we only get to see pictures of it here and there.
I'm really hoping after next year that they force Marcus's hand and we don't get to do the Roval anymore. And nobody likes it. It's long overstayed its welcome.
Well,
I got it when Charlotte's ratings were dipping and the car wasn't so good. Ever since we got this car, that while nobody likes it, the only thing it does well 100% is 1.5 mile racing. And we're not going to where we should be going with it. We're not going
except for Vegas. Vegas kind of randomly puts on stinkers.
Yeah.
Not every one of them, but it's kind of like hit and miss. But like Kansas is great. We haven't seen Chicagoland yet, but I don't see why it wouldn't be good.
Chicagoland's going to be phenomenal.
Chicagoland was phenomenal when they took the fucking race away. So that made no fucking sense.
Yep. Slide job.
Slide job. Oh no.
I just what I mean, am I missing something here though? Granted, the fans may not have been showing up at the racetrack. So you guys went through and changed the entire sport because which in the middle of a transition of going to what they're now pushing is, well, our moneymaker is the people that are watching on the TV. We really don't give a fuck about the racetrack, but you still, when questions are asked, you throw it in our face. Well, it's because the fans don't show up. Okay, well, that you can't use that excuse anymore. That excuse is played out. It's done. It's over with. It's played out.
Yeah, you can't talk out both sides of your mouth. You either took a race away because people weren't showing up and the ratings were bad, or you don't care because it's a market you want to be like. You can't have
See,
both.
and that you just hit on it there, because ultimately where I was going with that is, okay, so we got away from some of these racetracks because the cars raced like shit. I mean, even still, I was confused growing up. The best racing we had was short tracks, but people weren't showing up at the short tracks. So NASCAR got away from the short tracks and continued and continued and continued to build mile and a halves, even though the cars raced like absolute shit.
Yep.
Mile and a half hold more people.
I know. God damn it! Will you shut up?
But they don't sell out anymore. So do we really?
Yeah, but they don't see,
Yeah.
but they don't sell out anymore. So ultimately, where I think a lot of people I think are overlooking, and I'd like the opportunity to meet Denny Hamlin and bring this up to Denny Hamlin and say, okay, so, and even Junior. So all this talking that we've done, all the direction that NASCAR has continued to take this fucking sport. When Denny himself says, hey, I asked NASCAR, did we test this car? And they said yes. Well, you know what? I think they tested this car, and I think NASCAR knew this car is going to perform on the mile and a half, because guess what? We flooded the fucking market with it. So they finally built a car that performs on the mile and a half, but doesn't perform anywhere else. And they don't give a fuck at this point now. I don't think they care.
No.
If they cared, they would have brought more races back on mile and a halves.
So I have a discussion about this point, but I don't want to stop us from getting into our Daytona pod and our like stuff. So I'm going to save it for then. But like all I'm going to say is the sport is built on a foundation of three components. And that's why I said, remind me about triangles. You've got, I work in IT, and IT triangles are everything. You have that basically the center is where you're trying to get to the center of the triangle. And so you want all sides being equal. In IT, it's confidentiality, availability, and integrity. In NASCAR, it's money, entertainment, and integrity. And right now, they're so slanted towards two of the three that the integrity has taken a total shit. And the entertainment aspect almost has taken a total shit as well because the racing is so bad, all of it in the favor of money. So I want to get into that later in a future run. So I just wanted to throw it out there as something to think about.
Yeah, but like Blake brought up kind of where I was going to try and end with that is I think they built this car to perform on mile and a half until all of a sudden now it just seems ultimately confusing. They built a car that performs on the mile and a half, then we hit COVID,
Yeah,
and now for whatever reason you have the Roval, which they won't get rid of. A car that performs fucking phenomenally at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we continue to run the fucking road course, which the cars are
That's
garbage
the
on road
best race of
courses.
the year to this point.
I mean, if we absolutely have to have the Roval, can we do it somewhere else other than Charlotte? Like Texas has a road course.
Vegas has a road course.
Vegas has a road course. Like take one
Daytona,
of Vegas days.
Daytona has a fucking road course. We don't need to see that many goddamn fucking restrictor plate races.
Yep, Daytona. We ran the Daytona road course. It actually wasn't bad. You know, they run the 24 hours Daytona on that motherfucker. So I mean, I agree. Like if we absolutely have to have this, like we have some other options. Doesn't have to be at Charlotte where the car races extremely well. Where after what seems like 20 fucking years, that solid black pavement is finally wearing the fuck out. Like I remember when they painted that some bitch in 2007. And kind of like Darlington, it was like dark black, except for Darlington has continued to age, and Charlotte is like brand new. They just look brand new every time. So
Still look like glass.
yep. So
Why?
that's all I got for Richmond. If we want to
So,
sub
well,
and then move
real
on
quick
to
with the
the next.
schedule.
Yep.
I only have one issue with the playoffs schedule for next year.
Okay.
You have in the round of shut up in the round of 12.
Yeah. Shut it.
You have 2 mile and a halves.
Yep.
In
Yep.
the
Bristol,
round
yeah,
of
Kansas
8,
and Vegas back to back. Yep.
in the round of 8, you have 2 short tracks. Why did they not switch? Why did you not put like Vegas or Kansas in the round of 8 or you get what I'm saying? Why did we
Yeah.
have a
And
round with 2 mile and a half and a round with 2 short tracks. That is
And St. Louis
asinine to
in
me.
September can also snow. So that's not out of the realm of possibility either.
I don't think so.
Not very likely, but it could happen. Global warming. But I mean, you're right. We're going to go mile and a half, short track, mile and a half, Roval. I don't even know what the fuck to call Phoenix anymore. Plate race, Martinsville, and then we're going to end it one of our best tracks at Homestead. But like we're doing it
And
like
there's still talk
one,
that
two,
the
two, two,
playoff
two, one.
be set as far as how
Yeah,
they're
and
going
we
to do
haven't
it.
determined what races are what rounds yet because there's still the potential it could change.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about on one of the pods about. It could be, it could be Talladega, Martinsville, Homestead as a final round, and it's like, oh God, that would be bad if the if your champion is decided by a 3 race deal with Talladega involved.
Eh, I'm okay with it for 1 year because then I think the following year they'd fix it. But I'm trying to like let's just say they did the wild card rate for the wild card race first, and I would love to if you left it at 16 people and you just drop 6 right off the bat after Darlington, then it's 10 people left, 9 races. Let's go, and you do it 3-3-3, and you take those 10 people and you eliminate 4, yeah, whatever. But if you look at it that way, then the rounds are Gateway, Bristol, Kansas, Vegas, Charlotte, Phoenix. Then, like you said, Dega, Martinsville, Homestead, which I'm okay with Talladega being in there because you have 2 opportunities for redemption. I wouldn't be okay with it if it was Dega and the Roval together and no chance.
The
Like
thing
that's too
is,
much wild card for
the
me.
thing is Dega could take somebody's chances at the championship away right off the bat. No chance at all at recouping. You could have you could have a Ryan Blaney finish third and then a Larson finish 40th because of a wreck he did not was just behind, and then he has no shot at the championship because
I mean, that happens now with the other 3 when you're going Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville could eliminate him from the final 4. Just playing the opposite. What's the difference? At least here he's got 2 chances to make it up, and it's not in the middle. And again, it's the starting race, and you know your point cushion going in. Let's
yeah, I
just
guess
say you go in and you've got a 27-point cushion.
That's if
Right.
they give him the point cushion going into it.
Right. But I'm
Because
just saying right now,
because
based on the way the points work, whatever you win up to that point, you start each round with that. So Vegas, Dega would be the starter, and you've
that
got,
would
let's just say he's
that
got a 30 something point lead going in right now, or a 30-point cushion over 12th today, over the last place today. So he's got a 26-point buffer. If I go into Talladega with a 26-point buffer, and I know that if I finish well in one of those stages and just finish mid pack, I feel like
yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
Larson, I've won at Martinsville and I've won at Homestead, and I'm phenomenally good at both of them. I feel pretty confident about my chances at those.
okay.
And I feel like it's a much more even test when you compare all 3 of those tracks because, all right, the Penske cars are good at Martinsville, they're good at Talladega. The HMS cars are good at Martinsville, they're good at Homestead, not so good at Talladega in recent years. The JGR cars are kind of the same way. They're hit and miss. They're either really good at drafting or sometimes the Toyotas are not so good at drafting. So I feel like that round actually is a final round of 3 is pretty even for everybody.
well, and
That's
if the and
my
if
two
the and if
cents.
and if the teams actually had any balls, they would go through and the final 4, the first race being at Talladega, the final 4 just drop to the back of the field. And do you imagine
Yeah.
what that would look like for NASCAR? Fucking the final 4 guys just
Honestly, I think it would
so
look
that
awesome. You got the final 4 or final 6 people racing it out amongst themselves in the back, and then you
yeah,
got the whole pack up front. And these 6
yep,
guys are only worried about these 6 guys.
yeah,
Like
but
I'm going back here to get 1 point, a difference between 1 to 6 points
yeah,
over my
but
competitors, and I
but
don't care
giving
about
us
whatever else happens.
giving us a chance for all of us to race it out in the final 2 races.
Yep. Just so all 6 of us can go race in the final 2 and put on a hell of a show because then all 6 of them are gonna, more than likely it'd be a mixture of Penske, HMS, and JGR. most likely would be your final 6 mixture somewhere in there. Well, all of them are good at Martinsville. All of them are good at Homestead. So you would end up with a really good outcome. So it actually makes me really hope that's the formula that they settle on. Just flip it. Give me 1-3-3-3. Or take and do
Just-
2. Give me 2 cutoffs, two wild cards, and then give me 2 groups of 4. Give me 4 races, cut them, and then the last 4
Yeah.
races. Because then you
The
would get
4 race cut would work better.
then
You'd
you would
have
get
a
Phoenix in front of it. So you'd have a short track, a mile and a half, a plate race, and not quite a short track, but not quite an intermediate. So you'd end up with an even bigger thing. And
That
then,
sounds better.
so
Do a 2 race cut, drop your bottom. Yeah.
and that would leave you with Bristol, Kansas, Vegas, and the Roval as the second round of 4 going leading into the final 4. So you'd have the Roval as a wild card, but you'd have Kansas, Vegas, and Bristol. Roval would be the last one. Like, can you imagine going from, all right, we start that round with Bristol, we end it with Roval, and you've got Kansas and Las Vegas, and you got to go like hell in the middle? Like, do 2, 4, and 4, and you get Darlington and Gateway as your cutoffs. Like, you better have a strength at one of the 2 if you're going to make it into the next. So I could see, if they were to change the playoffs to like a 2, 4, and 4, or a 1-3-3-3, and just flip it. I think that the current set of playoff tracks for next year actually work out pretty well if they flip the format. If they keep the format as is and they don't make any changes, whew, as long as Larson can get there, I think HMS is really back in the game.
Yeah.
Where they've been
The
focused on Penske on Phoenix for years and they can't find their head from their ass. So
Yeah.
just,
the last thing I have on this episode is the fact that they do have 2 off weeks instead of 1. That's
yes.
a really
Yep.
big help for the teams to, and I'm with Tommy Baldwin. There's no reason we can't do weekday races to make the schedule shorter. We can still do 38 races a year, but you don't have to. You can do a race in the midweek. He said baseball does it, football does it, basketball does it. Why can't we do it?
Yep. We
You
get
base
that the
everything
ratings
off
are
those other
down, but
sports.
well, they've tried to say it's a ratings thing, and I personally am not buying it that it's a ratings thing. I really think
True
it's just
fans are going to watch. I'm going to watch whether it's Monday or Sunday. It does not matter to me.
honestly, especially during the football season, I'd rather they do it midweek. Give
Yep.
me a Wednesday race because you got Monday night football, Tuesday nothing. Wednesday you could have a race, Thursday night football, Friday night you've got a race, Saturday night you've got a race, Sunday night football, Sunday day race. It lines
Yep.
up really well from an event scheduling perspective. If you're not necessarily trying to go up against the NFL, but trying to work with them as like, we're building ratings all together, entertainment
Yep.
industry as a whole, I think it works well. So,
This half-hour podcast lasted an hour.
well, that's still better than our 2-hour ones. So,
Yeah.
still okay. But yeah. So
I
with
haven't started
that,
talking yet.
I'm good.
Okay, we got to end this one. We'll get
Yep.
the Daytona.
So we'll move on to Daytona. I'm gonna cut this and we'll move on to the next one.